Welcome to the Hansen Brothers podcast. I'm Timmy and joined by my brother Kevin. We are teammates and world champions in rallycross. This podcast is our space to catch up while traveling the motorsport world. It's race week. It's happened a couple of things. We'll get you through it.
There's a few things happening, so stick around. You'll find out what they are.
We had a whole plan of like how the intro should go, and I forgot them all. But yeah, first up is race week in E1 World Championship. So back on the water, back in the boats. Captain Timmy is coming back for this weekend in the third round of the championship in Dubrovnik, Croatia. I'm flying later today.
Brilliant. I mean, how do you then go from racing a car and then jumping into a boat? You don't have wheels anymore. How do you do that?
How do I avoid sinking? What are you thinking about? I love that joke.
This episode could be getting quite weird. Just FYI, everyone.
Yeah. If you haven't heard it, it's a German. What are you thinking about? I'm thinking. All right. So let's not think. No, how do I do? It's a lot about like getting into the new feeling. And it's, like I've said before, like a totally different way to drive the boat. Like the reason why I signed up and everything was I thought there's a steering wheel, there's a track, there's a start. Like it's got to be like racing lines, got to be similar. But no, you have to drive the boat like on the foils, and the difficulty is to balance it like the nose down or nose up, so you keep flying the boat above the water, because if the boat drops down, it's like slamming the brakes on, and you want to avoid that as much as possible.
Yeah, it's actually like nothing about how the racing line or launching. It's all about just literally trying to fly, isn't it?
Yeah, and like the cornering is like it's almost the easy part, because the pedals down there, we went from combustion car with throttle, brake, clutch. We went to electric cars, just throttle and brake, and now in the boat there's no brake, so I only have one pedal down there. And the funny
and
thing is that
flat.
Yeah, and the funny thing is it's flat from start to finish, like not a single lift. So you just like you plant your foot on the floor, and then to slow down for the turn, you kind of turn the steering wheel a bit. That makes the boat roll inwards, and then the inside foil kind of digs down into the water and kind of brakes for you, so and brakes the inside. So you like pivot around the around the buoy.
With the speed, can one say maybe you need to put on the cruise control?
Great content today.
Oh, brilliant. Where is the applause? You have the applause button.
Yeah, well, I'm not fast enough as a producer.
Oh, disaster. Thank you.
Good joke. Well done. I can even play the funny one.
Cruise control.
So, like, and as a situation update for the championship, we are in last place of the E1
But that doesn't
Championship.
reflect anything of your performance, because you were so quick. The first race you were really good, but the second race you were really, really good on speed in Doha. Sidebar, when I was there, obviously.
Yeah.
So you were like, it doesn't reflect on your performance, I don't think, the beginning of the season. So it's time to turn this around and get back on the podium, I think.
Yeah, like I agree with you. Like the performance was good, but yeah, I hit the buoy in the deciding race. I started on the outside. I had a bad start. Then I thought that, as in a car, I got the spray onto my windscreen following another boat. And in a car, when you're following in dust, you always know, like, I'll just keep driving, and then the dust will settle at some point, because you get into tarmac, like in rallycross or whatever, you'll get through the dust. So you just stay flat out and hope that you're aiming in the right direction. But of course, like, I was so stupid. it's a boat and it's water spray, so of course that never clears.
No.
But that's just like my instinct in the
But
moment,
yeah,
and
it's
I
one of
didn't
those
see.
things you
Yeah,
just have to learn when you experience this for the first time, and that's what you get when you get to a new discipline. You haven't been doing that ever since Extreme E in 2021, but also then that's off road, so you kind of know how it works. But when you work on something new, it's first experience. But I guess it must be a little bit similar to getting you and you driven Formula cars, getting the spray on your visor when you race in the wet.
yeah. I
No.
remember one race I did a long time ago in the wet in Spa, and I had a bad-ish qualifying, and I was down behind a lot of cars, but I was prepared for this luckily. So on the formation lap, I looked left and right on that straight after Eau Rouge to find like signs, and I not color signs, but
Not
other signs.
Carlos, even if you were racing him, another one.
Another one, just bagging them in there.
Yeah.
No, so I saw like the fence got higher shortly before the breaking point, and there was some tree or whatever. So I found myself like in the spray, see nothing, but I just try to get out to the white line, so I knew when approx to brake. Otherwise, you're just kind of praying. And then I start seeing people like starting to brake early, but I haven't seen that high fence yet, so I keep going, and other people brake. I overtook a bunch of people there, but that is very similar.
Yeah.
And I guess if I am in the spray again in the boat, I should just do the same then. I
I mean,
guess go out
I
to the
get,
side and get some
I
vision.
guess you need to just like search for new water almost. Just get somewhere else, because I mean people behind you, they need
Yeah,
to react then if you move and so. Well, but
yeah,
what do we know? You're going to Croatia, where Dubrovnik, right?
yeah.
What do we know about the track? What's the behind the scenes of this race weekend? What's going on? What's happening to the boats? Is there any new regulations? Is there any new guidelines? New drivers? What's going on in the E1 world?
There has been talk of like a 10 boat or 9 boat mass start, but I don't think they'll do it for this race. But the main talking point in boats is the water condition, like how big of an ocean is there. So last round we were very sheltered in around an island, so it was like a swimming pool water, completely flat, and now it's a bit more open. So I guess we'll get to there. We'll see where the wind is and how big the waves are. Because imagine you're flying the boat on the foils and like a swimming pool, that's fine. But then now you add on those waves coming up and down and up and down, and if they're big enough, they will be hitting the bottom of the boat at the top of the wave, and then there will be no water on the foil at all at the bottom of the wave, and then you stall. So then the driving style changes quite a lot. Like you have to adapt to those waves and look for where the waves are lower, or how you can plan like when to crash down in the right moment. So there's a lot to take. But last year when the waves were the biggest in Puerto Banús, they were absolutely massive, like taller than the boat. Sitting in there was kind of scary. But then I won my final. It's 2 finals, one for each pilot,
Yeah,
and then Katie drove the second one and broke the nose of the boat, unfortunately. But yeah, I won that
yeah.
first final, so I'm pretty pumped up. We had a good race in
So it's
speed last week.
it's open water again. It's on the ocean,
Uh,
not in. Oh, where is
it's
it?
it's covered by an island, but open on the sides of that island. So I don't
Okay.
know,
Is
but it
it quite
is
a big area, or is it like tiny, cramped in again?
no quite big. So
Okay.
it is the Mediterranean. Oh yeah, we'll see. I'll tell you next week in the next
For
podcast.
everyone who knows, it's Mediterranean is big.
All right. Yeah, but
You're
in
racing
Puerto
around the
Banús,
Mediterranean.
that was yeah. Now we don't go around the entire. That doesn't get it. Did it?
No, it
It doesn't
doesn't.
so funny.
No, bad. When, yeah, so
Okay.
I look forward to see. I will be watching on YouTube. Everything is live to stream there. So just like Rallycross, so you can tune in, everyone. I believe it's normally on like around early afternoon, the main races.
Yeah,
Um,
it starts on race day on Saturday. We start at 12, and I think it finishes at 3-4. So they've kind of
cool.
compressed the whole thing, so it's easy to watch for people at home. And we get to sleep in the morning, which is nice.
Yeah, hey, it's good living the luxury life, and you
Absolutely.
went to a team building and training
Yeah.
thing directly after the last race in Barcelona. How was that?
Oh, that was cool. We went to most of the team. My team in E1 is based in Barcelona, so I flew from Porto to Barcelona. We got together, we had dinner, we discussed strategy. We tried like e-foiling, like a surfboard with a foil underneath.
Cool.
So yeah, it's kind of it was a great week, honestly, and I feel very prepared now after that to go and race. Like, I really want revenge on this season. Let's climb from last some
Yeah.
places up in the championship. And you went to France, didn't you?
Yeah, I went. I left Sunday evening from Portugal back to the UK and spent pretty much like 30 hours there only. So I didn't even have time to go home. I stayed and worked in one of the offices, and then I flew directly to Montpellier in France and drove down. Met up with Molly, teammate in Extreme E, and we drove down to Fontainebleau, which is like a massive testing ground in the south of France for Dakar cars, Dakar trucks, Dakar bikes, and like Extreme E cars. It's also testing ground for like WRC when they go to like what were they now? Sardinia. So it's a really, really rough terrain. It's like rally stages for lots and lots of kilometers with loads of options, so you can build your different racetracks. So I went down there for an extreme age test. Planned last one where they had a tire testing plan, and just like it was an actual race car. So the test car was supposed to we were supposed to have a test in Saudi. That's why I flew to Qatar to meet you, but then that car had some issues. I'm not sure how much I can say, but it's not able to use. So now they got one of the race cars. They're building 10, and we got one of them. I think this is going to be the spare car, but one of the final product race cars. And we got to test that to make sure like the one that they are building are fine. We had 2 days. Me and Molly were sharing. I started the first days, and we directly had a not an issue, but like a fundamental problem that I had the last test, which you also drove in October, where the brakes were really struggling and they were very inconsistent. So
In what way?
so when I went out, the pedal every time I went into a corner, okay, it was firm the first brake. The second corner I went into, it was completely to the floor. So I had to drive around and like pump the brakes to make sure there was some pressure. Um, so it wasn't just like when I braked, the pedal went to the floor and I couldn't stop. I mean, it's a 2.5-ton car, so you kind of need to know where your brake pedal is at. So we struggled the first morning to identify what's happening. So I figured out after 2 runs that when I was going straight, the brakes were always firm and solid. As soon as I went into a turn or bumps, then the brake pedal was long. So it seems like there was some flex in some parts of the upright, which caused like the hub or the brake disc to just flex a little bit and push the brake pads out. So which means next time I went to brake again, it was much longer for the brake pads to get to the brake disc. But then obviously when you pump, you keep them close. You make sure they are there all the time. Obviously you're slowing down, so you can't be doing that. So we figured that out, and they identified where the problem was. So, but I lost my morning on trying to get that problem, which is a part of testing, you know. You go testing to try and find out if there's not only like the initial testing with the car was to make sure the fuel cell and everything works. That worked fine. And then this test was just like, let's see that the final product works. And it didn't really. So they identified the problem, which is some mounting in the upright, and the bolt were not like flat on flat to the parts. It was like a small bend somewhere on the bolt or something, which made it not like stick properly, so it was bending and moving. So they tightened it more and it improved, so they know now what to do for the rest of the race cars to amend that. And there was some more software problems when we were now it sounds like everything was bad. It wasn't. It was a great experience.
No,
The car
but
is much better like than other, but
yeah,
like when we were
but this is what
jumping and
this is what testing is about. Like, people think that you go out there and you try and tune for the best setup, but especially early development testing is a lot about troubleshooting.
yeah,
And a race car has, I don't know, so many components. And as you say, like the fuel cell worked fine and the handling's good.
yeah,
But it's about finding those issues so you can
yeah,
fix them before the championship starts, right?
Exactly. So and then we had an issue where on the second day, Molly drove all afternoon. It was fine. She did a tire test. It was very good feedback on the potential tire that we're gonna use there. And then I started again the second day, and then we had an issue where the rear motor stopped working, and I couldn't get it back into neutral and stuff. It just switched off, and they used to have a part in the motor or in the gearbox like a clutch. So when you jumped and you landed, the clutch would slip and make the re-engagement smooth. But it was quite unreliable, that part. It was a lot of service required. So they took that off and did it software wise again, and they had to just fine tune the software, and then they realized. So that took a bit of time, but in the end of the test I got some really nice runs in. Obviously I had to keep pumping the brake pedal, but it was a really nice couple of runs. The car worked fine, fuel cell worked. We ran different pressures. There's still some discussion of what pressure we will have in the fuel cell, but we ran 400 bars of
Which is insane.
which is
You know,
just like crazy. And obviously
have you
pressure
heard
means more volume. So
have you heard a tire exploding ever? Like
yeah,
when they mount the tire and they
pop
they
pop
explode.
over
That's
the
like
yeah.
4, 5, 6 bar.
Mm,
To run with 400 bar.
yeah, and it's possible to
It's
run
insane.
700
Yeah, and
700 bars.
to explain to the people how the extreme age car works, there are two massive hydrogen tanks on the top in the roof, if you say.
Above the battery in
That's
behind
where
the
the
driver.
pressure is. So they're trying to squeeze in so much gas into those tanks, and then that feeds into the fuel cell, which kind of chemically fuses the hydrogen with the air, creating water, and that chemical reaction releases some energy that you take as electrical energy, put it into a battery or straight to the drivetrain, and you drive the car.
Yeah,
So
it's
that's like the
it's
chain.
incredible.
Yeah.
When we fueled it up and it was driving, they told me that obviously the fuel cell sends all its energy into the inverter, and the inverter then can, like it regen, can send it back to the battery, or it can send it to the wheel. So initial like throttle, I think pick up until like, I don't know if it's like 70 kilowatts or 100 or something like that, the fuel cell produces, it's just ran by a fuel cell when you throttle. So it's really really cool, and that's where you get the extra bit of power. They don't need to adapt the full battery power potential. They use the hydrogen, and then when you like hyperdrive, then you put that last little bit of power, which creates 400 kilowatts. So it was,
Cool.
in the end, it was like a really good test. It's nice to drive the car. It's much lower center of gravity. The battery sits in the floor of the car instead. We were able to do, I can't remember exactly how long the track was, but it must have been 5 or 6 kilometers. I think we ran almost 20 kilometers, including we did like a test of like running, to the pre-grid on pit limiter, then did a launch, then went slowly and stopped 45 seconds. And when you stop, you can see the battery increase again because the fuel cell is running. So you did all of that. I think we did like 18, 20 kilometer runs in the end, and you still had some sock left in there. So it's actually, increased the
SOC
range a
is
lot more.
SOC, means state of charge.
Yeah.
For those who aren't used to driving electric cars every day.
Electric cars in motorsport.
Yeah.
So
SOC. Yeah.
it worked really really nice, and I got a lot of driving in the end, which was cool, and handles well. There's active suspension on the car, so you can change the maps live when you're driving to change how the suspension runs and things like that. So we will have to see in the end what that would mean, if we can also set them up ourselves, or if it's preset options, because obviously the more options of software management you have, the more money teams will have to spend. So it's a bit of a cost controlled situation as well. So but I think by the feeling of that, was a lot of positivity, there was a lot of content produced down there. So it feels like when you read extreme age comments, people are like, what's happening, what's going on, but the feeling is that everything's moving in the right direction, and hopefully sooner than later a race calendar or race plan can be announced for the World Cup, and more teams can sign up, and drivers can start to be announced, and we can get a contract to one of the teams, and we can go racing, which would be quite nice, because it was over a year ago we had the last race in Scotland.
Yeah. And the reason why they haven't like started a championship yet, if you don't know this and you're listening, is that they plan to do like a World Cup format, which is a very condensed season with loads of different types of racing with this extreme age car. I think that can turn out pretty nice. Like, of course, there is nothing official yet, so it's all like just talk so far. But it will be a World Cup, and they talk about like a rally stage, head-to-head races, like a mass car start, maybe potentially to decide the winner at the end of that week. Like it sounds very interesting, and then that's why we haven't started like round one of Extreme Age early in the year and finishing late. Like they're just aiming to do that World Cup week. Um, but yeah, it's still in progress, and we're still waiting to hear more
Yeah,
from Extreme Age and from the teams who will be involved.
exactly. And if you want to listen to what teams are currently thinking, you can tune into the Roger Griffiths podcast. I think that was an episode we did a while ago. Listen to what he had to say about, from a team's perspective, more particularly Andretti's perspective, which was your team in Extreme E, Timmy, what they are thinking with Extreme H and what they thought about Extreme E and where things are right now for them. Obviously, that was a little while ago. So
and some
very
pretty
interesting
like behind the scenes stuff from Formula E as well, like how they run the team and gossiping around the drivers. That was interesting.
It was a very good one. It's good to get to understand different perspectives from different parts of motorsport, So no, it was a great test. And then I went straight up to a wedding here in Sweden and could finally, relax after a week of testing World Rallycross, a week of racing, and then testing again. It was 3 weeks almost of, really high intensity travel, focus, training and stuff. So it was nice to just be able to go up there, celebrate a bit of love, happiness in Sweden, and just be able to have a drink or two and enjoy. So
Yeah, that's nice.
or
I'm
a drink
sorry if you
or
hear
20.
like banging in the background here, but it's because downstairs the cars have come home from Portugal, the rallycross cars, and my car was absolutely
It
smashed
was.
in the back from that last corner. It was like half a meter pushed in.
Yeah.
And now they're repairing it, so they've cut out a bunch of stuff and
By no
trying
one
to.
else than Ole Christian, who he smashed mine in Belgium last year. He's constantly loves to go way too quick into the back of people and destroy the back of the cars.
Yeah, but
It's his
I
signature
think
move.
I think ours is like maybe too soft there at the back, and I think the VW crash bar in the front must be higher than our crash bar in the rear. So like, of course, the crash bar in the rear was also smashed, but somehow it's always it's always Ole Christian who is like smashing the rear of the car, like, and making it massive work on the chassis side. It's always him. It's never Johan. It's never Niklas.
No, he must
It's always him.
work
But
on
it must
his
be something with.
perception.
Yeah, and also with his car, like something with the crash bar in the front, like being very
Maybe
bad
they have
for.
done Per Eklund from back in the days, just make it super strong, his front bar, so he can run into people.
Yeah, like a cartoon style, like you design your car to ruin the other's car, like spikes on the end of the tires, like to make punctures. Yeah, no, but they're fixing that. So I'm sorry if you hear any banging in the background. I went also from coming home from Barcelona. I also was looking forward to weekend at home before this
Yeah, of
upcoming
course.
race this weekend. But stupid me is I planned a bike race on Saturday.
And not like a
150
little,
kilometers.
exactly, not a little, let's go for a 30-kilometer bike ride and do a little race. The second longest bike race in Sweden or something like that.
Yeah, it was brutal, and I haven't really prepared as good as I hoped. So when I planned this event, like during the winter, like I'll do this, and I'll have a proper training program before, and I'll ramp up, and I'll try to be in shape. None of that happened. I have been on the bike just a
How do
couple of
you
times.
you can't train for 150-kilometer bike race. You
No,
have
you
to
can.
spend weeks and weeks literally on the bike.
That's the problem. You have to go out for a 5-6 hour ride,
And that sounds
every
fun.
week at least, or if not multiple every week.
You have to remember, we chose rallycross for a reason. So we don't
Yeah,
have to do that. That's
we
why we
don't
didn't
have
choose
to train.
cross-country skiing or Le Mans or something like that, which is this weekend, you know?
Shout out to Le Mans, yeah, Le Mans week. But no, I was going actually very well. I was like with a super fast group. I must have passed like for sure hundreds, maybe 1,000 people, like passing with my group of 3. And we were like on a roll. I was pulling sometimes, and then you slot back into the draft. But yeah, I could only do 100 kilometers. Like, so I was with them and pushing for 100K. And then it was like I went into the wall like hard.
I
And
think you had too many carbs
yeah,
without preparing your body for it, because you said you were downing like a sports drink and you were
yeah,
downing
gels.
gels and stuff like that. That's just, very easy to bring with you and consume when you bike race. But if you don't prepare your stomach for having that many carbs, you're gonna shit yourself.
No, I didn't. It was like the other end of the system without getting gross. But the last 50 kilometers on the bike was so tough. Like I wanted to stop and be sick like so many times, and I had absolutely like then I couldn't bring any more carbs in, so I had zero energy in my legs. So those 50 kilometers at the end was
Awful.
like painfully slow, and again probably hundreds of people passed me right back. But I still got like a 5 hour. I did it in just under 5 hours,
Mad.
4:53 or something. It was still solid, and I'm happy like that I finished it.
You didn't
But
have to do any training from that race until the race in E1. You did your 5 hours of training
yeah,
in prep.
I'm done. No
Yeah,
more training for weeks now. I'm just gonna eat junk food and stay on the sofa.
brilliant.
Yeah, I did my training.
Oh man, it was
Yeah,
cool to see. It's great achievement. So
thanks.
well done.
Thank you. So next up, then, as we've talked about, is this weekend E1, and next episode we'll talk you through everything that happened during that race. I love those post-race podcasts because we dive into everything there is. So I'm sure a lot will happen. Hopefully, we can bounce back off of the awful start to the year we've had. Show our potential, like get some speed, or we have speed, but like get it into a result. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah,
Well,
we wish you, everyone here on the podcast wishes you the best of luck,
thank
and
you so much.
break a leg, and we'll be watching. Thanks everyone for tuning in this week. Been great to catch up with you, Tim, even if we're in the same building for once.
Yeah.
Catching up properly as always. Good luck on the race. I will be relaxing all the weekend, watching Le Mans, a bit of motorsport. I don't know, maybe it's even F1 in Canada, so it's quite a treat. So really appreciate it. Make sure everyone to like, subscribe, leave a comment, give us 5-star ratings. Catch you in the next one.